You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Close for Chiro, Legacy Wealth Management, Posture Screen, Chiro Thin, Imaging Services, Zingit Solutions, Peter Goldman's Zone School of Healing, Everest Coaching Systems, Universal Tractioning Systems, Rhino Coaching, Chiropractic Jobs Online, and Chiro Matchmakers. Let's hustle. Everybody, Jim Chester here coming live. This is a sponsorship edition. Today I have Steve Weber. I almost said doctor because you're such an influencer in this marketplace. And you have a company that you bootstrapped up called Zingit Solutions. And now you guys are taking the world by storm and offering tons of value across the board for the chiropractic industry. And I know that you're coming out with some really cool new stuff. But before we dive into the new stuff, let's just recognize where our locations are for a moment. I am in Grand Junction, which is the Grand Valley on the western slope of Colorado, which I like to say no one lives. And I moved here to hear the birds chirp. And you're down there in St. Pete, Florida, right outside of Tampa. And you moved there because you like the weather better than Chicago.
Absolutely. Way better than Chicago.
And even though Chicago taught me how to Chiro hustle, the winters are not that desirable.
No, after being there for 25 years, I decided to make a change.
Cool. So let's dive deep real quick and talk about what Zingit Solutions is and how this brainchild of an idea is now making an impact in the chiropractic marketplace.
Absolutely. I mean, it starts with one core concept. And the concept is, how do we better engage our clients, right? Our clients are patients, right? So if I'm a doctor, I need to build that relationship with my patient. I need to communicate with them the way I communicate with my friends and family members. And today, like it or not, the way we do that is through our mobile phone and through text.
Yeah, and one of those things that I wanted to discuss with you is I know that for the past, whenever the inception of Zingit happened till today, you guys have done a really good job at helping people send out text reminders for appointments. You guys have rolled out some really cool things to stay engaged and to make sure people are showing up. First of all, let's talk a little bit about how you do that and what the benefits are about texting patients.
Yeah, so the challenge that you face in running a practice, right, is 10 years ago, you could just pick up the phone and call a patient. But we know patients don't answer the phone anymore. So, right, I've seen I get up and speak in front of groups, and, I used to ask, how many of you guys don't answer a phone call if you don't recognize the phone number? And you know what? Everybody raises their hand. But here's the critical takeaway today. People don't even listen to voicemails. Now, let's talk about that for ourselves. I know that if I reach out and call somebody and they don't answer, a lot of times I'm just going to hang up. I'm not going to listen to a voicemail or leave a voicemail because I'm hoping they're going to see my caller ID and call me back. Same thing if people leave me a voicemail, I'll either text them back or call them right back. I don't have the time or want to listen to a voicemail. But doctors are still having their staff call and leave voicemails all day long. So we want to help them solve that problem. So you mentioned when we started. We started in 2010, right? So in the mobile age, that was a long time ago, right? So the earliest things that we did were things like appointment reminders. And 8 years ago, that was new, right? Doing those appointment reminders through text. And then as it evolved, people were doing appointment reminders with their practice management software, but then they realized it's not the same thing because I can't have a real-time conversation. So if you're listening today and you're using text and you're thinking to myself, well, I already do that, but if you send a text message and somebody replies and it goes to an email somewhere or somebody has to check it, that's not really a conversation. Right? It's not back and forth. It's not instant. So when you realize you can have those instant conversations, now where I start to get the benefit of not having to make phone calls and leave voicemails. I can reschedule missed appointments. I can remind patients to book their next appointments. I mean, how many times does somebody call in and say, hey, I can't make it today, right? Well, they don't want to call. They want to shoot a quick text. They can do all that through Zingit. But in the last couple of years, and specifically just in the last year alone, doctors have come to us and they said, yes, we love Zing It. We've been using it for years, but we want to do more. And so we said, okay, doc, what do you want to do? And so we listened to our clients and we've developed a whole set of tools that I'm so excited that we're rolling out in the coming couple of weeks. I mean, some of them we're actually rolling out next week, but all of this is going to be in place for 2019. So really, Zing It is going to be completely different in 2019. The set of tools that we offer, the flexibility that we offer is going to be jumping that next step forward. So we're just super pumped up for 2019.
Thank you for sharing that. I think it's important for people to know who you are and how you're playing in this arena. And I think it's really cool to see the value add that you're adding into the chiropractic profession. And I'm just going to go back a bit to being a patient's perspective. And there's a certain level of guilt when you have to reschedule something because you have a busy life. So taking that barrier down of that guilt for the actual patient and then the busy time away from the office staff, it shrinks time and space, and it allows people to, like you said, real time communicate with each other to make sure that that level of guilt isn't even an objective. Like we're getting to the next level to where we're communicating with somebody in real time to let them have a low barrier of entry on getting back on the books rather than becoming one of those inactives that has that guilt and doesn't ever return. So I know you guys do something really cool for retention as well and reactivations. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so the best patients are the ones that are committed to their health, right? And they want to come in the office, but hey, let's face it, life gets busy and it gets in the way. So if I'm a patient, and I'm a great example, I travel a ton, you travel a ton, right? So I try and see my friends and get adjusted when I'm traveling. But when I'm home, I want to get in to see my doctor. And sometimes I forget. Sometimes I'll go a while without getting adjusted. I'm no different than anyone. Patients need a nudge, right? They need someone to say, hey, are you doing okay? And to remind you that your wellness is important for you to be able to really operate at that optimal level. So,
yeah.
So what we do is we integrate directly with your practice management software. We're going to read the last time that patient came in, and then we build the recall cycle for you. You may say, hey, I want to reactivate patients that haven't been in 4 weeks, maybe haven't been in 5 weeks, or maybe you want to say, I want to be a little looser, 6 weeks. So what our system's going to do is it's going to pull your practice management software. It's going to look for those patients that came in, say, for instance, 5 weeks ago, but haven't been in the last 4 weeks. And every week it's going to reach out to them, starting a conversation. The key is we want to start that conversation that says something simple like, hey, we haven't seen you in about a month. How are you doing? Because that simple, how are you doing, can open up the conversation that leads to that patient getting better and getting into the office.
I had a conversation last night with a young DC, and I said, hey, you have to always be top of mind when it comes to the patients that you get, and you have to learn how to retain them better over time. Instead of one day you say, well, I'm seeing 100 PV a week now, but I have a patient file of non-active patients that's this big. So I think it's a great strategy to get people to stay and to retain them and to continuously do business with them, because at the end of the day, a chiropractic visit is doing business. And if we can do anything to tie up a missed appointment, that means that clinic is doing more business. So I think that it's a really cool strategy that you guys developed to be able to go back into the archive of the last time that the person was there and to say, okay, this is pinpointed. Now we're going to re-invite this person that already has a relationship with us, that's already taken services from us. And I think that people don't realize that the easiest people to continuously do business with are the ones that have actually received services from you, and they will buy from you continuously. And that's really what chiropractic wants. They want people to take chiropractic services like from cradle to grave. They want people to be under care for their whole life. So why wouldn't we develop some type of a strategy to talk to our archived people that we haven't seen in maybe 4 or 6 or whatever weeks it might be, and to be able to reinvite them back in for the opportunity to stay on that path.
Right. So your office is not different than any business, right? It's far easier to retain a customer from a cost standpoint than it is to acquire a new patient. So why wouldn't you do that? The struggle that I hear from doctors, the struggle is really simple. My front desk staff is busy, and I don't want to keep hounding them to do this. And so with our system, it's a process, right? If you can put processes in place in your practice, that allows you to scale, right? So with this process, it gives you the peace of mind to know that every week your patients are being reactivated, because that patient that just went inactive is far easier to reactivate than somebody that hasn't been in 6, 9, 12 months, right? So they may have gone on and found somebody else to take care of them. So having that consistent process is absolutely key in helping to maintain those patients. So that's my silver bullet. When I talk to doctors and they're not doing this, I tell them, hey, listen, let's go ahead and do a couple weeks of recalls and see what happens. They call me back and they're like, I reactivated 4, 6, 8 patients and I saw them the next day. That gives you proof that this does work for you. So super excited about incorporating that into our new level of service, which is Zing It Pro. And I want to take a minute to share that, because a key component is completely automating that recall process, right? So we talked through that. The next step is really all around, how do I get more new patients? And we've heard from doctors time and time again that, I'm struggling with Yelp, I'm struggling with getting reviews, right? And we've talked to them and they're using other systems just to build their reputation. So we said we need to combine those two together. So what we've done is we've brought together the industry-leading suite of tools for reputation management and reputation monitoring. So it's not just about getting reviews, right? It's about sending the request for feedback after the time of service. If they don't engage with that via text, then another text comes out and says, hey, take a moment to give us feedback. So we're going to get that feedback for you. When they click through and they give you the stars, they're going to be able to give you feedback, or you're going to be able to kind of guide them through the process of leaving a review on Google, Facebook, or Yelp. Now, they, of course, can leave the review on Google or Facebook, and, of course, a check-in on Yelp that hopefully they'll interact more with their Yelp page. Now, I've gathered the reviews. The key now is I want to have one central dashboard where I can respond to those reviews, because that's kind of the whole management situation, right? Positive and negative. How do we do a service recovery on a patient that maybe is not happy and leaves a review? We can do that through our central dashboard. We can notify you when you get reviews, right? And of course, the reporting shows you, how am I building those reviews over time, and in what different social outlets am I gathering those reviews? And we can gather reviews in over 100 different review sites. One last thing, though, that's really cool is how we can amplify our reputation by taking those positive reviews, filtering those 5-star reviews, and reposting them to Facebook automatically, and reposting them to our website through a widget that we provide. So that really gives you the whole concept of not only gathering reviews, but managing your reputation and monitoring your reputation. And all of that is being incorporated right into your Zing It platform for 2019. So super, super cool.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Close for Chiro, Legacy Wealth Management, Posture Screen, Chiro Thin, Imaging Services, Zing It Solutions, Peter Goldman's Zone School of Healing, Everest Coaching Systems, Universal Tractioning Systems, Rhino Coaching, Chiropractic Jobs Online, and Chiro Matchmakers. Let's hustle.
I think a couple of the things that you said there that really should stand out is reputation, which is highly important in anybody's business out there. Reviews. I tell everybody that they should be asking for a review from everybody after they've at least hit their seventh visit with them. So where there's a strategy to know that this is a happy person, that they've become a patient that's, enjoying their opportunities to get adjusted regularly. And then, the other thing that you said there is to do the reactivations. And I think that if people just use Zing It for those three things and they didn't even use it for canceled or rescheduling appointments, then we would have something really awesome to offer to people out there to stay engaged with their primary audience, which is the people that live 7 miles radius around their clinic that are their practice members.
Yeah, and those are important things to do, right? But every day what we hear from our clients is they love Zing It for managing appointment reminders and productivity at the front desk. So we said, how can we make that better? And our clients came to us and they told us. And so what we're introducing, along with all the other services I've talked about, is for 2019, we're introducing our ECS. And that's our code name internally for our new tool that integrates with your practice management software. So if you're using one of the top chiropractic softwares, we're now going to be able to give you more flexibility. So you're going to be able to send reminders at different times, different intervals, completely customize multiple reminders. You're going to be able to filter by appointment types and by doctors. And just, this gives us the ability to create a custom solution for every single doctor. And doctors want that flexibility. So now in 2019, we're delivering.
Well, I guess at this point in the conversation with you, I know everybody out there is wondering, how does this make me more money? And I know that we've discussed some of the subtleties of that, but bottom line standards, if you guys are seeing more people and you have more consistency with your movement that you've started with your clinic, then people are going to come in and use your services more frequently. Because honestly, if anybody's out there, Steve, they're going to look and say, well, how many 5-star reviews do they have? Well, the first thing, if you search chiropractor in any city, what pops up, Steve? Yelp.
Well, you're going to see, if you're using Google, you're going to see the Google map and you're going to see the Google reviews, but usually the first organic result is going to be Yelp. Now, here's what a lot of people don't understand. If you use Bing or if you're on an iPhone and you use Safari, you're going to see those Yelp reviews on the local map.
So that's just it. Is the bottom line is that by using Zing It solutions, you guys are going to save time for your staff. You guys are going to integrate better for reviews. You guys are going to have a better reputation in your community, and the automation behind it just makes sense to me. So if you guys are out there and you're thinking about joining the Zing It business and taking their services, I'm going to flash up your guys' website. I made a bit.ly link. So if you guys go to the Zing It link down there at the bottom of the screen, just type that in, all the backslashes and the HTTPS colon, and then you're going to get opportunity to, I think we have an opportunity for them, Steve, to save their first month at no charge.
Yeah. We'll provide the first month free if you come through Chiro Hustle. We support what you do. And you asked me, you said, what's the financial benefit? So let's run down a quick ROI, right? Return on investment. So if we start with the first section, which is how do I attract and acquire new patients? How much is that worth to me to get a new patient? Well, a typical care plan, how much do you think that's worth? Couple $1,000 maybe for simple math?
Let's go bottom line, $1,000 a year.
Okay. Bottom line, new patient, $1,000. Let's say with a better reputation, communicating completely over text, using Zing It to support all your new patient activities, you're able to acquire 2 more new patients a month. That's $2,000 a month. Multiply that times 12. Okay.
That's
so
math.
Now I've got $24,000. Okay. Simple math. Now I'm also using it to reactivate a patient, right? So if I reactivate a patient for wellness care and they come in throughout the year, I'm probably looking at another $1,000 per patient that I reactivate. So if I can send out video birthday cards to help reactivate, I can do the automated recalls that we discussed. I certainly should be able to reactivate 4 patients a month, right? 4 patients a month. I'm doing that 12 times a year. Each one's worth $1,000. That's 48 grand, right? So now we're doing this math and you're saying to yourself, oh, this can't be real. Think about it. We're using a number of $1,000, right? That's not a big number. Now we go back to what do we get if you manage your kept appointment percentage? You can look at that and say, what happens if I raise my kept appointment percentage by 3, 4, 5 points, right? So let's say I'm doing 100 appointments a week, which I'm guessing most doctors that are listening to this are doing more than that, right? So now we're on the low end. So let's say I get 5 more appointments a week. That's 20 a month. Let's call it $50. Now we've got another $1,000 times 12. We've got another $12,000. So what we've really worked up to is somewhere close to $100,000 in ROI. But there's one last component, and it's the main thing that our clients tell us they see immediately when they start using Zing It, and that's productivity. Their staff is now freed up to be more focused on the patients that are in front of them, and they're not chained to that telephone calling, leaving voicemails, and playing phone tag. So if your staff is able to free up, call it 5 hours a week, 20 hours a month, what are you going to do with that time? I'm guessing the doctors that are listening can find a lot for those CAs to do with those 20 hours a month.
And something I've found over time, Steve, is the chiropractors I have conversations with, I talk to a doctor daily. They focus on the 90% of the people that they show up and don't have time to focus on the 10% of the people that do not show up. So if we could figure out a way to automate their communication with this 10% of the people that don't show up, and I'm going to tell you firsthand, I worked in an office. One of the most loathing experiences for anybody that works in an office is calling people up that missed their appointments and doing the reactivation on a daily basis to say, hey, you missed your appointment. When can we get you back in? And like you said earlier, they don't answer their phone. They don't listen to voicemails. So it's dead time that you're paying out of pocket for somebody to do stuff that is a loathing activity as well. So if most docs pay attention to that 90% of the people that show up, they don't pay attention to that 10% of the population that don't show up. So now Zing It can come in and take control of that 10% of their market that is not getting in to see them and taking the pressure off the staff to do loathing tasks. That is, they'd be better off doing something else, like setting up marketing events, I would say.
Well, for your doctors and for your listeners that are doing those extra things, one of the packages that we're rolling out for 2019 that we've been doing for clients, but we really haven't promoted it, is the ability to build a club or a text marketing program where you can send text blast out and market to your base. Of course, that has to be opt-in and permission-based. But there's also a number of clients that use our system to integrate directly with any paid advertising. So if you're doing Facebook ads for new patients, or you're doing dinners, workshops, and events, you can integrate the Zing It platform to help support those. So those are now new products that we are allowing people to add on to help support their business. Because you know what? I mean, it's all about acquiring those new patients. It's about building a tribe. And when you build that group, that community, and they share with their friends, people want to become a part of it. And we want to support that because that's something we can get behind 100%.
Well, the things that you shared today, I see so much value in there for our listeners today. And I thank you so much for being a part of the Chiro Hustle sponsorship team. And this is a sponsorship edition. And we can't do what we do, keeping free speech alive and well in chiropractic, without the support of amazing sponsors like Zing It Solutions. And Steve, I just want to say thank you so much for standing behind us and trusting us with our voice in this chiropractic marketplace and allowing us to carry on your products with us and to, spizz people up. That's a big chiropractic world. We want to spizz people up and help people have a better 2019 than that they were experiencing these past 12 months. So is there anything I didn't ask you today that you would like to share with our audience?
Well, I would say that if you are an existing client, or if you're not a client, and any of those things that I talked about, the new services sound like you might want to learn more, reach out to us. There's some really cool stuff for existing clients that's happening over the next couple of weeks. So keep an eye on your email, and we're here to help. We're going to make 2019 outstanding, not only for the chiropractic profession, because we're going to support folks like you and all the other events. We'll see you on the road. And, we want to make it the best for your listeners as well. 2019 can be outstanding for your practice.
So my call to action for everyone out there is to click below on that link there, write that down, type it in, and get your first month free with Zingit Solutions, and come into the new year with a powerhouse of strategies to get you to retain more people, get better reviews. And you guys are just one text away from your next new patient and to retain them. And I think that when people realize that, that it's so simple, you just got to click that link there and to opt in. If you guys are watching this on replay, #replay. If you guys do have questions for Steve or I, please comment those into the chat feed there, and we'll respond to each and every single one of you. And if you found value in this conversation, you're watching this on replay, #value replay. And with that being said, is it okay if I close out today, Steve?
It is.
So I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I usually say you're just one story away, keep hustling. Today, I say you're just one text away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks, Steve.
Love it.
All right, see ya.
Thank you for listening to Chiro Hustle Live. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.